It squads, na 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 na. It squads, na 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 na. It squads, da 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 da. It squads, do 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 do. It squads, do 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 do.
Hello YouTube, my name is Paul. Hope you're all keeping well. Welcome back to another Hit Squad video. 3 months in the making. I started doing this bad boy just before the coronavirus hit. And since then it's been quite difficult to make any videos with the missus working from home. But yeah, work's been a bit chaotic. Calmed down a little bit now, but still pretty strange. Yeah, so I'll save all that for another video because I want to do a competition video very soon. I'll probably explain a bit more during that particular video. But whilst I was still in the middle of making this one, I thought, you know what, let's get this one out first. But not only that, we've set up a Facebook group called the Hit Squad Collective for anybody who's interested in Hit Squads, not just collecting them, but just wants a general chit chat around the games that the Hit Squad label released, really, because lots of games came out on different systems, lots of really cracking games across the 8-bit formats. So yeah, the group's been great. I've really enjoyed it, to be honest. We're chatting about Hit Squad stuff, sharing pictures, sharing memories, and a few trades here and there, really. But in terms of pickups for myself, I'm still at one Spectrum title for 2020, which takes me to 104, so still got 11 games to get. The worst thing for my collection, the 11 games I've got left to get are probably the hardest 11 games you can pick up on a Spectrum. So yeah, there you go. So I have been concentrating and focused on games for different other 8-bit systems. I've been really enjoying picking up games for BBC, the Atari 800, the Commodore 16, MSX I haven't even got a game for yet. It's really difficult to find games for that. And obviously some games for the Amstrad Commodore 64, because the Spectrum is just not happening. I know some of the other guys have hit the brick wall as well. I know Scott, Sega Zombie, he's in a similar boat to myself. He's just finding those games that everybody seems to want. Dave Retro Games played badly. He's had a little bit more luck than me this year. And he will probably divulge that information in his own video. But yeah, he's doing really well. Other YouTubers that I know of making videos at the moment, Cybersnake7, again, he's doing pretty well with his Commodore 64 set. New channel, Retro Bait. I'll leave a link to his channel down below. He, again, Hit Squad Collector. He has a full set Commodore 64 collection. So I'll leave that in the link below. And obviously Sega Zombie. Zombie Bob's Emporium of Old Tat. Again, he's got a full set Sinclair Spectrum collection. So yeah, I'll leave a link to all those guys' channels just in case you have any interest. But yeah, so that's where we are with the actual collecting so far. So I've got a shout out really for a couple of guys who have gifted me games over the last few months. First one is to Daryl, who upgraded my copy of Spitting Image. Absolutely fantastic of you, mate, to upgrade that. I mean, the version I've already got isn't too bad, but this one is absolutely mint condition. He mentioned me say my Spitting Image game wasn't particularly great, and then off his own back said that, so really appreciate that. So thank you very much, Daryl. And then special mention then to Paul Richardson, aka Retro Bait, who gave me a couple of games. One was Batman, the Cape Crusader gave me, and this is the only one that's actually to hand at the minute, is Batman the movie. So yeah, with the Amstrad, just pick up stuff as if it comes up cheap. Again, the Amstrad is one of those collections that is absolutely brutal to get a full set. I mean, I don't know, I don't envy an Amstrad Hit Squad collector, put it that way. I don't know of anyone who actually has a full set Amstrad collection, but I saw for the first time on the Facebook group someone actually's got a copy of Darkman, which I've never seen before, on that particular system. So yeah, so thank you Paul and thank you Daryl for a few additions to the Hit Squad collection. The games I've got for you then in this particular episode, some games are nostalgic as always, mixed in with some utter shite. Now, talking of shite, the first game, a movie I really enjoyed, I've got to say. I mean, what it come out in the mid 80s? I say mid 60s, mid 80s, 86 maybe. Sequel's due very soon, and that game is none other than Top Gun. Now, this game is one of those games that you cannot give away. It's that common, that poor, it's undesirable. Movie number 4, so an early release, probably came out in the late 80s. on the Hit Squad label. But yeah, it's much better in 2-player, but it's a very short-lived game. I remember playing a game called Ace, or Ace 2, which was very, very similar. All you're doing is dogfights. You're chasing each other around the screen. Graphics are very, very plain, to say the least. So yeah, it's one of those games you've got to have to complete your full set. But I would recommend it, and like I said, it's not worth anything. To sell it is nearly impossible. That's Top Gun. Next up is a game that is far more superior. A game I remember back in the day. Game I liked, I wanted to like, but I found it bloody slow. And it's got a really strange mechanic to it. And this game is Matchday 2. I mean, I think there's 3 releases on the Spectrum. 2 on the Hit Squad. It was Matchday, International Matchday, sorry. And Matchday 2. This is sports number 13, so quite late on, I suppose. But again, I did like it. It was a good game. Probably the best football game for its time on the Spectrum. But yeah, like I said, the weird, strange bar going along the top. That I think the higher the bar was, the more power the pass or the shot had. So it's trying to play the game and time it just right to pass or shoot, really. But yeah, a game that I don't have a lot of memories for. Like I said, I try to like it. It's just never really got on with it. Again, a very common game. Shouldn't set you back more than £1 or 2. Very similar to the next one. The next one, I couldn't wait for the release of this game because the first instalment of this particular franchise was one of my favourite track and field games ever on a Sinclair Spectrum. Which, funny enough, you'll see again later on in this particular video. So this game is Daley Thompson's Olympic Challenge. Again, another very common game, a very cheap game. Shouldn't set you back more than a couple of quid. This is sports number 14. Now, I had this game, but I can't for the life of me remember how I acquired it. It's one of those games that it has different elements to it and it's supposed to make it more interesting, but actually hinder the game. So, for example, you've got the training sequence. I think you've got 3 training sessions, but by the time you finish those, you're too tired to play the bloody game. Got a bit of weightlifting, squats, bench presses and stuff like that. Sort of thing that I do every single day, as you can clearly see. But yeah, flipping hell. By the time you've done that and got to the game, you're knackered. First event you come to is a 100-metre sprint. And then you've got to pick your shoes, your running shoes or whatever it is to do that event in. But it's bloody hard. I don't know what you're doing. So most of the time I'm making the game harder for myself by picking the wrong poxy shoes. But yeah, graphics are really good. I think it's Bill Harbison's first outing for Ocean. Did the graphics. And don't get me wrong, the graphics, the presentation's phenomenal, but it's not as good as the original game. That's Daley Thompson's Olympic Challenge. 3 piss easy games to get, to be honest. In fact, I think most of this section is. Or most of this video is. Next one's a game. Again, I saw the film. I love the film. There's a film where Bobby Brown made a cameo appearance and was paid about 10 grand to do so. Back in his height. And that game is Ghostbusters 2. Too hot to handle, too cold to hold. Yes. Again, a game that is highly nostalgic from that period of time that I absolutely loved back in 1989. Never bought it though. Never played it back in the day. Movie number 20. Again, quite a common game to pick up. This one might cost 2 or 3 quid. Maybe £5 max, I would say. But again, it's one of those games that you put on, you want to play it, but it's flipping crap. I tell you, I got to... I never got off the first level. You go down on the rope as you do. And you've got to zap ghosts and ghouls and stuff like that. Pick up power so it enables you to get to the bottom. The only time I've ever seen the bottom is by falling off the rope. That's how crap I am at this game. But by the time this game came out, sort of like autumn time of 1989, I got an Atari ST. So this kind of passed me by, but the reviews didn't. So yeah, I wouldn't say it's a great game, because it ain't. This is an episode of Not Great Games thus far. The next one I have no idea at all about, I've got to be honest. I played it recently, and I didn't think it was that bad once I got used to how to play the game. Slightly more difficult to get. Strangely enough, it's in the sports section. Kind of understand why, but at the same time I don't. And that's Shaolin's Road. Yeah, it's yeah, it reminded me at first a little bit of say Kung Fu Master, but it's on multiple levels. As in, like, there's like 4 platforms you can jump up. Once you clear the section, which I wasn't quite sure what I was doing. Once you clear the section, you move on to the next level. Again, I played it for about 10 minutes. This is sports number 12. It looks good though. It reminds me of a game that would have been made by Ocean, but it wasn't. It was released originally by The Edge. So it's quite, I wouldn't say a desirable game. I didn't realise I had it in the full price release as well. But yeah, can't really say a lot about this one. It says, take a stroll down Shaolin's Road, and you'll never want to turn back. That's a load of bollocks. But yeah, nice game to have in the collection, even though it's not that great, simply because it's not that common. Again, this game won't cost much more than about a £5. I'm not sure. I think it's based on an arcade cabinet. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it is. Now, I've never played that either. Right, the next few games are a lot more nostalgic for various different reasons. Now, I'm not really into top-down driving games like Badlands and stuff like that. I find them quite complicated, especially because the controls are the opposite of what you're used to. This next game is no exception. Super Sprint. Now, Super Sprint I had on the Atari ST, and I can't remember if I ever played it on the Sinclair Spectrum. I've got a feeling I have. A game released by Electronic Dreams originally. And this is sports number 7. A game that, again, don't come up that often. And when it does, it goes for about £5. Generally, give or take. Again, top-down game. You'll see the footage in a minute. I must have played that game for about half an hour just to get a bit of decent footage. I found it really difficult to control it. Because you think you turn left and right, and then you push forward to go backwards. Which all kinds of makes sense, but it don't when you're playing it. I just found it flipping hard. I know it's a very popular game. It was very popular in the arcade anyway. I can't remember if the arcade version had a steering wheel. I don't remember. But yeah, I had this on the ST. I much preferred it on the ST, but again, even on that, I wasn't particularly great at it. But yeah, my Super Sprint. Now, the next one I would have played originally on my Atari ST. A beat 'em up that I love to look at. I do really enjoy side-scrolling beat 'em ups, to be honest. And I was really looking forward to this. And when I got it on the ST, it looked fantastic, but it just, yeah, the mechanic of it wasn't great, really. And that game is Shadow Warriors. Or Shadow Warriors, even. Again, a game that doesn't come up that often. Quite a desirable title, I suppose, but it won't cost much more than like £3 or £4. But yeah, the specky version looks great for a Sinclair Spectrum. It's got one of those, like, things going on where the sprites have got a border around them to stop them clashing with the colour, because this game is full of colour, absolutely tons of it. One of the first games I ever played where you can actually interact with the street furniture, sort of jump up on lampshades, jump up on lights or lamps or street lamps, and just swing either way, kick in the enemy. Yeah, chucking baddies into phone boxes and stuff like that. But again, the game itself I found quite bland. It's very, very repetitive. I beat it quite recently on the Atari ST. And yeah, all you're doing is chucking the bad guys around. That's pretty much it. But again, lovely one to have in the collection, but in terms of gameplay, I think it got some cracking reviews, but I wouldn't recommend it. I would recommend it, play it, but it's not that great. Average. So that's Shadow Warriors. Cracking bit of artwork, I do like the front cover of that. Next up is going to be one of my favourite Bob Wakeling covers of all time. A game that was touted as a sequel to one of the finest arcade conversions ever on the Sinclair Spectrum. And I could not wait to get this game. It's got to be the most anticipated game for me I ever wanted that I never got. And luckily for me, I avoided that bullet. And that's the Vindicator. Look at the artwork. Absolutely fantastic. I love it. This is arcade number 14, so quite an early release, even though the game itself would have been released probably about 1988. This would have been on the Hit Squad label a year later. I can't imagine it sold particularly well. And it had the Green Beret title removed, because it did have the Vindicator underneath. It had Green Beret 2 in green lettering, I remember that. But the game is not very good at all. The first level was a maze. To be honest, I can't get out of the flipping maze. I'm not even sure what to do in a flipping maze. I think you're supposed to pick up certain objects which activate something, go in the lift and do exactly the same thing about 4 or 5 more times. And by the time you've done that, if you're lucky enough to do that, you've probably had enough. But the second and third levels are completely different. I think they've tried to do it where you've got 3 completely different stages. Maybe to gain your interest, I guess, but get off the first stage is a bastard. I've never done it myself. But yeah, I was lucky not to have bought it in the end, so I was disappointed. It's got a cracking theme tune. But yeah, I just love the artwork. Again, quite a cheap game. £2, maybe. Right. Next 2 games are very good games. The next one, I've already shown you its sequel, but this game, man, this game I got copied. A friend of my old man, yeah, he bought a bag of games across, all copied games. I got this, I pretty much got my Spectrum that Christmas in 1986. I got this bag of copied games, and this was one of them. Daley Thompson's Decathlon. Again, a very common, very early, in fact the first sports title. Won't cost more than £1, but man did I get some flipping hours out of this. Now when I had my Spectrum originally, I think the joystick I used was the Atari 2600 joystick. Now if you ever played this game using an Atari 2600 joystick, you will get blisters. In fact, where my palm of my hand was bruised. I used to just do that with the top of the joystick. Bloody hell. But I tell you what though, this game was cracking. No training crap at the beginning or anything like that. Just get straight in and play it. I remember the game being on 2 sides, day 1 and day 2. The further you go, it just gets a bit more difficult to qualify, which makes perfect sense. But I tell you now, by the time you get to about the 4th or 5th loop, you are absolutely knackered. Your hands have got blisters. You're crying to your mum because you're in fucking pain. But it's a brilliant game. I probably would say, out of this bunch of 10, in fact, probably one of my top, would somebody say one of my top 10 hit squad games, to be honest. What a game. Loved it. Again, playing with friends to try and beat each other's records was brilliant. But if you got really good at it, you could be on it for quite a while. Now, next up, the final game. A game, again, I love, but never, ever got on with it until recently. I mean, it's quite funny. When I was watching Scott, Sega Zombies videos, talking about exactly the same game with exactly the same experience. It's one of those games that I never read the instructions for. I couldn't get off the flipping first level. And that's Mikey. Again, cracking artwork there. I'm pretty sure it's Bob Wakeling again. It reminds me a lot because that chap there is in Comic Bakery on the Commodore 64. Yeah, cracking. I think Bob used a lot of his art more than once. I think Operation Wolf. I think the guy from Operation Wolf features in about 4 box arts, which is brilliant. But yeah, it's a cracking game, arcade conversion. And I only recently completed 1 loop. I suppose once you get used to the game and you find the first loop easy, you get bored of it quite quick because it's very repetitive after that. But yeah, I loved it. Loved it back in the day. Don't know why. Don't know what it was. Maybe it was the music. There was Beatles theme tune going on. But it's great. It looked very colourful. It's a game again done by Jonathan Smith, who brought us Green Beret. Brought us half of Dave Thompson's Super Test. Brought us Cobra. Some fantastically, technically advanced specky games he brought. And this is one of them. But yeah, brilliant. I love it. I do love it. And completing it for the first time this year. I've probably completed about 4 Ocean games this year. I've never beaten before. But yeah, brilliant. But again, I reckon the longevity of it will be quite short because it is very repetitive. There we go. So 10 very common games in the main. Mikey's very difficult to get on the Amstrad, believe it or not. You can command quite a bit. I don't think I've seen a 64 version at the moment for a while either. But yeah, we've got about, I would say, 3 more videos left. Then I've hit a wall. The next one might come out in 2047 or something like that, because I'll tell you what, the last 10 games are going to take years to pick up. Unless I'm very lucky. But yeah, that's it. So yeah, thank you for watching the video. Sorry it's been so long. And thank you for all the new subscribers that have come along. It's very much appreciated. I'll see you guys again real soon when I come back with the old competition videos. About time I did one of those, and then a good old-fashioned pickups video. So thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for subscribing. I'll see you guys again real soon. So take care and bye for now.